Good evening, everyone. I am excited to be back. Got some great news to share with you. Unfortunately, we're sad to say that Philip won't be joining us. He will be coming back for some shows here and there throughout the season, but we have an amazing new host. We've been planning some great things behind the scenes, and I'm just going to, rather than make you guys wait and wonder who it is, because I'm sure you saw her name in the introduction, but I'm going to welcome Tiffany to the show. Welcome.
Hi, I'm so
So,
excited to be with you.
yes, so I'm looking forward to this year, and also next year we have some amazing things going on.
We do. We do.
Yep. And I know everybody else knows me, but real quick before we get started, Antoine, it is great to be back. I'm so looking forward to everything going on, and it's great to have you here watching us. He's a regular viewer and always has some amazing questions and insight every week.
Awesome.
So, since most people know who I am, let's take a moment and learn about you. Who is Dr. Tiffany Frazier, and tell us a little bit about your paranormal journey.
Oh, wow. My paranormal journey goes back, as you know, with most of us in the field, decades.
Mm-hmm.
It all started, I was about 16 years old, and I woke up to get ready for school one morning, walked out of my bedroom, and came face to face with a shadow person. And from that incident, that moment, I knew that I wanted to figure out what it was. And life happened, and years passed, and got married, had kids, bought a house, bought a second house, and decided to write a book. And during the writing process, I always had this idea in my head of what I wanted to write about, but I kept falling back into bringing paranormal into it, specifically a haunting. Um, when I was dating my husband, of course, we watched all the shows because they were huge at the time. It was the early 2000s. And um, so I knew that I wanted to incorporate hauntings into my stories, and I wanted to write a book that didn't exist, and I hadn't come across the books that I wanted to write. And so I was like, well, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. And so I did. And through that process, I started to get the itch to really dive deeper into the paranormal field, and started researching how to join a team. And eventually, I was able to join a team once we moved here to Georgia, and joined the team. And along the way, kind of met you through Philip, actually, because Philip is the team leader on the team that I'm on. And
Who says
so
he's scared of the dark? So
I don't know if that's true, Philip. Met you, and actually ended up going to the same metaphysics school that you attended,
Yep.
and got my PhD in anomalous research and paraanthropology. And here I am, going strong, and I have no plans to look back. Just keep going forward with it. I'm really lucky that I get to follow my passion. It's something that I've always wanted to do,
Mhm.
and I've learned so much. And yeah, I'm just like really, really happy to be here. So thank you
Mhm.
for having me on.
Yes, no, thank you for joining the show. And I know
Mm.
Philip is going to be missed, but we will be definitely bringing him back on,
I'm
especially on
trying.
some
I talk
future
to him
shows.
almost daily. I'm trying. I'm like, dude, you have to come back on. Come on.
Well, I do know for those who are new to watching the show, Ghost Education 101 has actually been around since COVID. We kind of started
Yep,
it to give people things to do when they were home and stuck in their homes. And we actually had a large group of us that started it.
you
So it's
did.
kind of one of those
Yeah,
things. And I'm hoping next year I want to plan a reunion show. And so
that's
far, I have a
awesome.
lot of the original educators willing to come back. So hopefully we can get that planned and have fun with that. So that'll be fun and entertaining. See where
That would be
everybody's at now. Yeah. So real quick, Sandra, welcome to the show. Thank you for watching. Always
thank
great to
you.
have everybody. I'm seeing a lot of the old names that we used to see when Philip and I were going live last year. Of course, this year's been crazy, and I'm looking forward to moving forward with the show. So if anyone has any recommendations or any tips, tricks, we're even still looking for some guests to fill in some slots. Just send us a message. You can find us on Facebook at Ghost Education 101, and I'll share all of that information at the end. But I know Tiffany worked hard on getting today's show already for the Meet Your Host show. And I don't know if you want to start with a question or if you want to talk about.
I can start with a question. I'll just go down the list, or we'll just go down the list. How about that? All right. Heather, what's a belief about the paranormal that you used to hold, and what specific observation or study made you change your mind?
Oh, wow. There's so much that changed.
It's a little loaded, isn't it?
It's very loaded. I know when I started researching the paranormal, the overall belief was the only reason why someone who haunted the location is because they had died there.
Oh, yeah.
Before I even started researching, it wasn't really a belief of mine, but it was just kind of like it was understood, almost like the TV show Ghosts. They were stuck to the boundary of their home.
Mm-hmm.
But when I started having interactions with my grandfather, who was in a home that he had never visited, had died long before my parents bought it, it was like,
Right.
this is not real. Then another belief that I had was ghosts really can't hurt you. And that was something that I was really strong in, what are they? They're not physical material. They really can't hurt us, until I was physically attacked twice. So
Yeah.
that kind of quickly changed my mind on that one. And I'm going to flip the tables around to you. What was your belief?
And for me, so I think, as I explained at the beginning, I grew up, I'm an 80s baby, but I was brought up in the 90s. I call myself a Zennial, kind of stuck in between. And so I grew up with, all the shows. Sightings was a huge one back in the day, growing up when I was really young. And so there was always this belief that all ghosts are bad. Hauntings are bad. It's evil. It needs to be dealt with. It's bad. And obviously we know that's not the case. So especially once I started really doing this work and really just taking the time to think about why a person, being a spirit, would hang around anywhere. I really came to my own conclusions on, the bad spirits don't occur as often as people would like to think they do. So, our professor, he was really great. And, he, in one of his teachings, said, if somebody came into your place and was yelling at you and demanding you do stuff, how would you feel? So you have to kind of come at it like that. And, you'd be pissed off too if somebody just came in and started making demands. And so you have to, we have this saying in GPI, ghosts were people too. And we have to have shirts actually that say that. And so I live very strongly by that.
I actually have a sign right over my desk that says that.
Do you really? Nice. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah. No, but and still people believe that, which drives me. It doesn't really drive me crazy, but it's almost like, they obviously haven't had experiences to prove otherwise, and either they've only had bad experiences or they're just going off of the beliefs of what other people are telling them.
And I think a lot of it too is I think people get themselves so worked up and so scared that they manifest the stuff around them. We've actually come across that on some investigations that we've done where, they're actually manifesting things around them. Not poltergeist per se, but yes, there's stuff going on, but because of their beliefs that they have already, it's just so much more intense for them. And they just kind of need us to come in and kind of play mediator between the living and the dead. Basically, that's what we are. And, kind of just help them figure it out and set boundaries and stuff. So,
yeah. And then you brought up manifesting. I mean, we even had a case once, and the woman, when we went to her home, we got no evidence whatsoever in her entire home.
Yeah.
except for one EVP. And it was on a video recorder that we were holding and facing her while we were interviewing her. And during a brief silence, it was her voice yelling, "Get out."
Wow. Yeah.
And, because we had to listen to it a couple times, and it's like, is it her voice? It was close, so we weren't sure, but it was one of those where, was she thinking in her head, "Get out," and it kind of imprinted because she
Yeah.
didn't like the fact that we weren't finding anything, even though we weren't telling her that yet? Or,
Mm,
was it a spirit that either she manifested in her own image, or a spirit mocking, mimicking her?
yeah.
So there's so many
Yeah.
different possibilities that you got, but there's a lot of cases that we've come across where people have just manifested whatever spirits in their home because they
Mhm.
believe and they
Mhm.
want to be haunted.
Yeah. And I always tell people, especially younger people, um, if you go somewhere and you wanna find something, you're going to find it.
Hmm. Yep.
So you need to be careful with your intentions.
Hmm. Yep. Exactly. Okay. So next question. Was there a single moment when you realized, I have to approach this like a scientist, not a thrill seeker? And what happened?
Yeah, so right before I, met the GPI team,
Mhm.
I had, um, found this other group, not in the Atlanta area, they were further away, and, they had, put together, an event, not really an event, but they were getting together at a cemetery, and
Mhm.
I said to my husband, I said, I'm gonna go check this out," because I was really starting to get into it, and he knew that I wanted to try and join a team. I was like, "I'm just gonna go check it out and, like, see if it's something that I really wanna do," and my cat's, like, ready to pounce across my desk. I'm sorry. Please go that way. Um, animals. I love them.
Mine's down here. She's probably going to start snoring soon.
I'm like, "Please just stay over there. Don't come over to the desk." Um, and so I drove like 2.5 hours from my house, and I met up at this cemetery with this group of people, and they were all amazing, amazing people. But they were using the apps,
Hmm.
and specifically the SLS camera app. And I've always been the person that follows my instincts.
Hmm.
And if my instincts say something's off, something's not right, this is crap,
Hmm.
I'm going to believe what I'm feeling. And so that was the moment where I was like, I need to do more research, and
Hmm.
I need to find people who are really serious and are not using apps on their phone, because
Right.
I knew that wasn't the way
Yep.
to do it. And on top of that, they were not being very nice in the cemetery. And
Yep.
my whole thing, like I said earlier, is if listen, you're going to a place where people are supposed to be at rest for eternity and you're
Right.
rude, that was an automatic no for me.
Yep.
So, that
Exactly.
was the moment where I was like, "I need to start really diving deep into this and learning,
Hmm.
and not just, like, listening to the groups, the Facebook groups that I was in, and listening to" that's about the time too where I started to think a lot more about the shows I was watching,
Hmm.
and really think, like, they're awesome, but they're entertainment,
Yep. Yep.
and starting to, like, draw that line for myself.
Hmm. Yep. Yeah. And for me on that question, I've always been scientific minded. So even watching the shows, I would always be like, you maybe try this
Yeah,
way, or, how do you know that's, because my biggest thing is who said, and how do we have proof that like a K2 meter or an EMF reader, when it goes
exactly.
off, how do we know that's a spirit?
Yep.
Because you have to research the environment around you. And with being in telecommunications now, I've learned through the classes that they make us take
Mhm.
that even mobile phone waves travel thousands and thousands of
You
miles.
can't escape it.
So,
Yeah.
yes, so you could have all the power turned off in the home and still it'll still kick off. And I'm sorry,
You're
but
still gonna have EMF. Yeah.
right. So that was always like, okay, now we got to find a better way to do this. And
Yeah.
then there was a team that I was on. We had a great time, great team, led by still people that I talk to today and research with today. But there were some people on the team, or some people that they would invite in to just do investigations with us, that weren't taking it seriously. And
Yeah.
it was one of those things where it was like, this needs to be more organized. And that's the one thing that I did when I came into the team. I was helping them document things better and
Yeah.
organize things
That
better.
is
It was
so important.
yeah, it was more or less, it was like, okay, everybody's doing their own thing, but how can we compare the research? And that's when it was like, and at that time I was already in school with Dr. Kelly working on everything. And I was like, hey, this isn't right. So it was kind of like, I always wanted that scientific mindset, and the school kind of helped me push it a little bit further.
Yeah, for sure. Anton, that happened to you too. Yeah. I think it happens a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm always one, I mean, I even say please and thank you to AI. So it's like I do the same thing when I leave a haunted location. It's
Oh yeah, we always thank the spirits. We're
mm-hmm.
always respectful.
Yep.
We're not here to hurt you. We're just here. If you want to communicate with us, you're free to do so,
Mm-hmm.
or you're
Yep.
free to not. That's
Yep.
up to you. So, okay. Um, when an experience defies explanation, what's your default hypothesis before you consider it paranormal?
Check the environment.
Yeah.
It's, it's not even just what's going on in the home or what's in the home. It's, you need to look at, it's more than the night of the investigation, I guess is what I'm going to say. You need to take, okay, well, we got evidence here, here, and here. But at this time, there was a solar flare. At this time, there was,
Yeah.
the moon. I mean, the moon phase has a little bit of effect, but I'm starting to realize that not as much of effect as some of the other things like geothermal waves in the ground and the composition in the ground. I know you and I've had long talks about, the different crystals and gold and all of that stuff that's in the ground. It's, you need to exhaust everything. And we don't call anything paranormal for like quite almost a couple months, because there's
Mhm.
extensive research that goes into the location, not just what
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. We take that same approach, and I take that same approach very, very seriously. You have to weed out every possible explanation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yep.
I've walked into an investigation, and this was about a year ago, and the family they said that one of the dresser drawers in one of the bedrooms would just open.
Mm-hmm.
So I stood in front of it and I jumped right in front of them, and they looked
Mm-hmm.
at me like I was crazy. And lo and behold, that drawer opened as I was jumping,
Yep.
and I looked at them and I said, we just have to exhaust every
Mm-hmm.
explanation. And I
Yep.
said, because this is opening, throughout the day, anybody walking through the house, it was a 3-story kind of townhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And so anybody walking up the stairs through the room, that could possibly be causing that little bit of vibration to open the drawer on a daily
Mm-hmm.
basis. So
Yep.
we can't call this paranormal.
Yep.
Now, if
Yeah.
it flies out and flies across the room, that's a completely different story.
That, yeah.
you know, we would
That's
love
when you
to
look for
actually
the
see
fusing
that.
line first, and then okay, something's happening.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Or
If
or
the
like
ceiling panels start falling in, yeah.
or Philip's favorite cat balls.
Oh, the cat balls. He
A
doesn't
big
like
truck
that.
could
Oh,
drive by outside.
don't
Natural
call them cat
vibrations in the
balls.
earth. Yeah, that'll get him to comment here real quick.
Yeah.
Actually, I saw the other day, I don't know who it was, but they made with a 3D printer a swing for the cat ball
Oh, yeah,
to set it in there. And
I
I was
think
like,
we have something like that
okay.
actually in our team. I think
I'm
Andy
like,
did
that's
that with a 3D
interesting,
printer.
but a breeze, the air conditioner turning on.
Yeah, so
Uh,
you have to make sure that all the
mhm.
windows are closed, that
Yep.
your vents are closed, that the system is turned off.
Hmm.
When we go into investigations, we're checking that list and making sure that yes, this is a good spot for this location. Bad cat balls. I knew that would get him.
Yep. We woke him up.
Yeah, we did.
Okay. Next question. Which non paranormal discipline most shaped your investigative mindset and how?
Hmm. Acoustic. Um, Honestly, I would say instincts.
Hmm.
Just because somebody once said to me, and this was before I had found GPI. I was asking about, different kinds of equipment, and this person said to me, "Your best piece of equipment is yourself.
Mhm.
It's
Yep.
you. You don't need to have equipment. Equipment, yes, it lights up, it makes noise, and we know Philip loves that. He'll get all the things that make all the noise and the beeps. And oh man, reviewing evidence is so much fun." But and it's absolutely true. You don't have to have all those pieces of equipment if you can learn to trust your gut, to trust your instinct, whatever you want to call it, your
Mhm.
your spidey sense, whatever. You can walk into a location and you can just know, and it's not even about being psychic.
Mhm.
It's knowing that, yeah, I think something might be here. Let's put a
Mhm.
camera in this room, right?
Right.
Um, so I think that's really shaped um, the way I work the most. And I think I'm really lucky to have kind of figured that out very early
Mhm.
on.
Yep. Yep. And for me, it would be photography. I
Ah,
my I have a photojournalism degree, and
oh, cool.
as photography evolved to digital, there is so much more that you can learn to help not so much disprove different photographs, but it's amazing how much you need to know about different things and how photography can capture great evidence. But then you
Hmm.
also need to be able to identify when something is false or
Yeah.
when something is faked or anything along that. And that's where my photography background comes into place.
Yeah. Disembodied music. Have I heard disembodied music? I have not heard disembodied music, but I've heard a disembodied voice recently.
Mhm.
With
Yeah.
a fellow teammate, and that was really cool because there was somebody to corroborate it with me because he
Mhm.
was right behind me and we both heard it. And interestingly enough, it did not pick up on any recording devices, that because we wear body cams, it did
Mhm.
not pick up on the body cam, and it did not pick up. I think one of us had a handheld, I can't remember, but at least on the body cams, it did not pick up. And
Mhm.
so for us, that was an instance where we were like, okay, we're going to label this paranormal. It was a personal experience. And of course, went around the entire area of the building we were in. There was absolutely nobody there. We were in the bowels of a historic building
Mhm.
in Atlanta. There was no explanation for it.
Mhm.
And that was actually one of the coolest experiences I've had so far.
Yeah, we've actually had two musical experiences. The first one was at Madame Tussauds
Mm.
downstairs on the piano. I want to say I think it was
Wow.
Liberace's piano that was down there, and we just would hear like a two notes, and we're all
How
like, did you hear that?
interesting.
But there was like about three or four of us because we basically were there giving the employees a tour, giving the people who worked there a tour, so they wouldn't be afraid of the ghosts that were there.
Oh,
And we
okay.
would just hear the
That's
two,
cool.
and everybody's like, did you hear that? And then it would happen again, but then it never picked up on any of the recorders, and there was plenty there. And, there was nothing coming
Yeah.
up on that. But then the other one, we thought we heard soft piano music happening at a location, that historical building that we were investigating. And we heard it briefly, but we thought maybe we were just hearing things. But then we went back and listened to our audio. It was probably about 2 minutes worth of piano music playing on the audio.
And you didn't hear it at the time.
No,
That is
we just
awesome.
caught like a 2-second glimpse that we thought we heard something, but then it was
Mhm.
on the audio. So it
That
was
is
really
so
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is it my turn or is it your turn? Whose turn is it?
I don't know. I think I
Heather,
asked that last one.
okay. Walk us through your null hypothesis on a residential case. What would falsify the haunting claim?
That's a tough one for us because we've only done 3 residential cases in our entire as a group. Um,
Mhm,
one of them was with another, or two of them was with another team, and then one of them was with my husband and I were taking on the case.
mhm.
And I really can't think of. The only thing that I could think of on the one case that falsified the haunting claim is I'm really, oh wow, I'm at a loss because like the only thing I could think of is because she really, really, really wanted it to be paranormal.
Yeah.
And she would say, because we actually, yeah, so we're in the daughter's bedroom and the daughter was dabbling in witchcraft. So of
Okay.
course we're, trying to explain to the mom that that's not bad or anything like that. But the daughter had her vanity mirror and her dresser mirror facing each other.
Hmm.
And then partway through the investigation, they both started shaking. And everybody
Wow.
on the team that I was on was like freaking out. Look at the mirrors, they're shaking, they're shaking. And I looked out the window and there was a big truck driving by.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I haven't done enough residential cases because we focus on historical research. And it's really hard to say to a potential client, hey, I have this experiment. I know you're being haunted by something terrifying. Can we experiment in your home? So that's kind of why we stopped doing residential cases.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard. Um, yeah, that is a tough one. I mean, I think for we do a lot of we get a lot of residential inquiries. We have to weed them out because
Mm-hmm.
you get a I'd say probably 96% of the inquiries we get we don't
Mm-hmm.
even entertain.
Yep.
But the ones that we do, we always do a Zoom call with the clients
Mm-hmm.
prior. It is a standard practice. We do not show up without at least doing a Zoom call. Um, and it's really interesting the amount of information you can get just by having a person, even just in front of you on a computer screen, the
Mm-hmm.
information you can get. Um, you have to kind of have a good set of questions ready, and those can change from case to case. We had one quite a while ago where it was very clear from the inquiry that they were after kind of their goal was kind of just to get on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And so we came up with very specific questions for the Zoom call. And we're able to at the end say, I don't think, or we don't think we're the right group for you. It's not quite what we do. So in order to protect yourself, you don't want to just jump into a case. You really need to um, kind of play psychologist a little bit. I know it sounds weird, but you have to because it's really also it's for personal safety because you don't want to show up at a person's house and
Mm-hmm.
who knows what's happening, right?
Yep.
Um, so if- for me personally, if I catch a person in a lie, even if we're on investigation, it ends right then and there.
Yep.
We pack up and we leave.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Um, you know, and that could be as little as they said one thing during an interview and we show up and it's just completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they're not falsifying anything, then it's not going to change to the point where we're like, wait, you didn't say that. You said it,
Yeah.
that's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, um you just really have to go in with the mindset of they're going to lie to you.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of with your questions that you've prepared, you can kind of like,
Yeah.
okay, I see what's happening here. And,
Mm-hmm.
but in order to protect yourself, because it is a dangerous job.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that you just want to go in like you see on TV, just show up at
Yeah.
somebody's house. Um,
And they don't even just show
I
up at someone's house. They do basically what you do, the research behind the scenes and the investigation beforehand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there are so many stories out there of people just going into places and you're like, what are you doing? This
Yeah.
is so deep. What are you doing?
Yeah.
One that always sticks out to me, this was years ago. Um, oh God, I think it was Ghost Hunters, not Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, way back in the day when they first began.
Mhm.
I'm originally from San Francisco, and so if you drive down the coast, there's a haunted brewery right past
Mhm.
Pacifica. And at the time, the owners, they had, now it's always had like a haunted history, but at the time, the owners kind of zhuzhed up the haunting,
Mhm. Yeah.
per se. And the locals knew about it.
Mhm.
And this was during a time there was no social media, there was no way to contact
Mhm.
anybody to say, "Hey, they showed up, they filmed the episode, they aired the episode, but during the episode, they're like, "Are you guys planted all of this?" And they're
Mhm.
like, "Yeah, it's how we get people in to it's how we market our business basically," which
Mhm.
is completely fine. There's nothing wrong with that,
Yeah.
but they weren't upfront.
Right.
And I'm sitting there watching the episode and I'm like, "No," I'm screaming at the TV. And I'm like, "I would have called you and told you," you know. So you just have to be you really have to do your due diligence.
Yeah.
And my cats are going crazy.
Yeah. I remember one time it was when I was on my last team, I was doing an intake call before we actually did the Zoom interview for some, and the person asked me, okay, when your team shows up, what time does the film crew show up? And
Yeah,
I'm
that's a
like,
red flag.
just because we're a paranormal team doesn't mean we have a film crew following us everywhere we go.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's like
stuff like
two
that.
totally different things.
Yeah. Actually, on our questionnaire, we ask, and we ask during every interview,
Mhm.
have you had other teams there? Have you had film crews there?
Yeah.
Because you need to see what the people are all about
Yeah.
and what their and I always ask what is your end goal? That's a
Mhm.
good ask. What's your end goal here?
Right. Yep. Yep. And then real quick, going back to the music, Sandra
Yeah.
mentioned the whistling, and I think I remember Philip talking about this.
Oh yes, I do
Yep.
remember that.
Yep.
Hmm.
And then Antone
My
with
music was
music.
playing, and my wife and I both heard it.
And then, of
Was
course, the
that in
TV
your
show
house?
ratings. So hopefully he responds soon if he's still listening.
Yeah.
I think he is because we still have a few people because he's off of YouTube watching. So I still have a few people on
Okay.
YouTube watching us. Okay. Real quick, our next question yes, he said, yeah, it was in his home.
Yes. Wow.
Yep. What's a control that you insist on that most teams skip? And what errors does it help prevent?
A really important one is baseline readings. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that is super important. And, you were just talking about EMF and
Mm-hmm.
all of the energy fields that are just around us. I mean, we have
Right.
Wi Fi everywhere, we have cell phones. I mean, it's scary to think about how much Wi Fi signals are just in
Mm-hmm.
a house.
Right.
I mean, I have some smart light bulbs here. Here
Yep.
in my office, and the router is on the other side of the wall. So it's really important to get a sense of what is happening environmentally
Mm-hmm.
in the house. I think it's just as important as historical research on a property because you could walk into a place and if you didn't take those baseline readings and you take out your Mel meter or your K2 or whatever you're using and it starts flashing and you're like, "Oh my god, there's a spirit here." Well, no, maybe you just have, like, some smart light bulbs all over the house or something. So it's really important to get those baseline readings, figure out what is the normal for that environment, and then, obviously, if you get spikes outside of that, then you can kind of bring in some other experiments to figure
Mm-hmm.
out what might be going on, but baseline readings are a must. You
Mm-hmm.
have to.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. And for us, it's we put video cameras up everywhere
Yeah.
because one thing we've learned, one example we have is we were investigating a location that refused to let us use video cameras or photography only because they didn't want it to be known that they were haunted. So they let us
Mhm.
investigate there. It was basically where we had our team trainings and we would practice and we would get answers for the museum director. So that way she would at least know what was going on. but didn't want it known that the location was haunted. So, and what we had is we have an amazing EVP that almost sounds like a dinosaur growling or a dinosaur sound, or it was weird. And it was in a room where there was artifacts and fossils.
Wow.
So, but listening to it, someone from the outside is like, well, someone could have dragged a chair on the ground or someone's stomach. But if we had video cameras up, they would have seen that the digital voice recorder that picked it up was at least 15 feet away from the nearest person.
Wow. Yeah.
In the room. So having those video cameras, you can prove no one was talking, no one was nearby. And this is where, it's basically a control to prove what we captured and how the environment was controlled.
Yeah. I don't have doors on my office. I have heavy curtains, and the curtains are just swinging because the cats are going crazy.
I think our cat just walked down the hallway because the dog started whimpering.
How do you separate signal from pareidolia in audio? Now, I know you're an EVP expert, so this is a good one for you. From audio EVP work, blind tagging, interrater reliability. It's been a long day.
All those big words.
Program review, etc. How do you do it? What do you do?
Well, I listen to any audio usually 3 or 4 times before I figure anything is paranormal or not paranormal. So I'll start and I'll listen to the whole thing first, and I'll write down a time where I won't stop and go back and listen to it. I listen to the whole thing first.
Okay.
Then I listen to it again with my eyes closed and kind of remove any visual, even if I'm just sitting in my office facing a wall or anything like that, I remove any visual distractions. So I just sit there and listen and confirm that the times were real, because once you pull out other distractions, your mind's not thinking it's hearing something. And then, of course, that was where the cameras come into play. If you have a camera up, you can be like, okay, at this time, this person walked, even though they didn't tag it in the audio. At this time, this person yawned, and, that could be a yawn, that could be, something. And then, of course, a voice comes up differently when you're analyzing it versus, spirit voice. And spirit voice is often a lot softer.
Yeah.
I've heard that and I've witnessed that, but I've also had some EVPs where it sounds like the person's yelling and is right there next to the voice recorder. And it's like, you think it's a human yelling into it, but it's not, because there's nobody near it. So that just goes back to the main thing for figuring out what is and what isn't, is to have those visuals around to see what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's so funny because a lot of times I do the same thing. I'll close my eyes and my husband will walk in and he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, I heard something. Shh, I heard something. I do the same thing. And we have a private chat for our group members. And so when we are reviewing evidence, we are constantly in there. Everybody, check your camera, check this timestamp. Where were you, or what were you saying? Or, when you work with people for a long time, you kind of get to know their voice. And so we can say, I think this is you. Can you confirm? So we take all the precautions to kind of weed out, any of the potential team members who were at the investigation. And body cams are great because sometimes you don't have the people on the cameras that you have set up, but you can go back to the body cam footage because it's going to pick them, even up their voice, So body cams are really important to have. And I'm really glad that Philip is always so adamant about those, because those have come in clutch a couple times where I've had to check something because I'm like, I'm in another room, I'm not on camera, but that really sounds like me. So let me go back and check it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and you can also, blind tag it, hey, I walked, hey, I did this. But then there's some people who I have worked with in the past that purposely don't, because they're hoping that what they
It gets
did
high. Yeah.
gets, and identified as paranormal because they're
Yeah.
trying to, prove something that I don't know
Mhm.
what they're trying to prove. I don't get it.
It
I
only
would be
hurts
more
to
than
feel.
happy. Yeah, I would be
Yeah.
more than happy to walk into a location and tell the person who owns it, we caught nothing, because then we know we did our job. We analyzed everything
Mhm.
down to a T and had an explanation for everything.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Oh, and there's my cat meowing in the background.
I have they're going crazy. I mean, they're like, "Mom's up, let's go crazy." I
Yeah.
knew it was gonna happen too. My husband's in the basement, and he's probably just cracking up, hearing the pitter patter.
With feet running around.
Yeah.
So the next question, what's your pre-registration or prioritization plan before you enter a location? What counts as confirmatory or exploratory tests?
Yeah, so before we go into a location, whether it be, a residential or historical, it's really important to have a floor plan. In fact,
Mhm,
we will actually ask, clients who are going to do a, private residential, we'll ask them to either sketch out a floor plan, or if they're comfortable, send us, email us photos so we can
mhm,
kind of piece together, um, where, like, from the Zoom interview, like, where things are taking place, so that we kinda have, an idea even before we get there of, okay, if the bathroom's here and this is a long hallway, we automatically need to know how to kind of position the cameras so that,
mhm.
they're not facing each other,
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so, especially at historical locations, you
Mhm,
really, really want to have a floor plan. In fact, there's been a couple locations that we've gone to, and we will purposely schedule our trip so that we can get there earlier in the day, or even sometimes the day before, so we can do a tour,
mhm.
and figure out, okay, just the kind of the layout, especially
Yeah.
large like Brushy Mountain. Sandra was talking about Brushy
Mhm,
Mountains. That was a must, because most of us hadn't been there,
mhm.
and so we paid for it with our own money. We
Yeah.
all took the tour prior to that investigation that night, so we could get a lay of the land and be comfortable with where we were going to set up cameras, and just know where
Mhm.
everything is.
Yeah.
um what counts as confirmatory or exploratory? Honestly, everything's exploratory in this field.
Mhm.
You really can't, I mean, it's so hard because, as you know, we are scientists, but it's pseudoscience still, basically. It sucks,
Yeah,
but it is.
unfortunately.
We we can't definitively prove that what we're capturing is paranormal.
Mhm.
Even if we weeded everything out, there's it we just because we
Mhm.
can't reproduce it, right?
Right. Yep.
You can't say, "Hey, go show up." I mean,
Mhm.
it's just
Yeah.
not possible. So,
That's why we need a better relationship with the spirits, because then they'll show up.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. So be respectful.
Yep.
There are some things that are considered more scientific and more exploratory. Like, I know, like the spirit box, or the geoports, those are considered more kind of experimental.
Mhm.
Whereas your scientific devices like your millimeter, when you're
Mhm.
where you're able to actually measure environmental changes, anything
Mhm.
like that, that's going to be more of like a confirmatory. But again, if you get a reading on one, you got to find another device to kind of pick up
Mhm.
something in the environment too.
Right.
So it gets a little tricky.
Yep.
So you
Yep.
have
Yep.
to go off of what's being experienced, what people in the past have experienced, what your group, whoever's there, has experienced, and what evidence you've captured.
Mhm.
And you've got to
Yep.
go off of that. And there's always going to be people who, are going to call bullshit. And
Oh,
that's
yeah.
fine.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
you can't please everybody. But
Right.
like my experience with a shadow person, I know what I experienced. I was not
Mhm.
sleeping. I was not experiencing sleep paralysis. I was not dreaming. I was up, literally awake and walking, and I saw a shadow
Yep.
in
Yep.
my house,
Exactly.
and nobody else was in the house with me. So,
Yep.
you know, it, yeah.
Yeah. And actually, you took the words out of my mouth. I would have said the same thing.
See, I like
So,
this.
yep. Exactly. Yeah. Because with new locations, we always try to get in ourselves beforehand,
Hmm.
so that way we can walk around and get a feel for it, and also see what our senses tell us.
Yeah, that's really
You know.
important. Yeah.
Yep.
Because some places we've gone into, we're like, oh, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And then we end up getting a ton of evidence.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then the opposites happen too. We walk in, we're like, "Ooh, feel a lot." But then you don't get anything. So
Right.
it's just,
Yep.
it's so unpredictable. Common sense in science. I wish more scientists used common sense. Not all spirit boxes. Not sure what you mean.
Yeah. I'm not sure either. I saw that. Yeah.
Any smart appliance is usually wireless. Yes, that's
Mm-hmm.
true. I
Yep.
have a smart refrigerator. We just moved. So we bought all this stuff.
You're
We
letting the
bought all the
robots take
fancy
over the
stuff.
world.
We've got a smart fridge, which I don't have it hooked up to my Wi-Fi, but I did hook up the dishwasher, which has been nice actually.
Okay. So one of the
Oh,
questions
not
you
all
hear.
spirit boxes are reliable. That's what he's saying.
Oh,
That is
okay.
true too. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. A tool you retired because the data weren't robust, and what replaced it?
Mm.
But while you're thinking, I got one.
Yeah, go ahead. That's a hard one.
Yeah, mine would be the K2 meter, 100%,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we were using it on an investigation, and the investigator was running in a hurry. Yep, Philip K2 as well, was in a hurry. And so he put regular batteries in it, not shielded batteries. And it was like going off like crazy. So at
Yeah.
first we were thinking, holy cow, and we were even like, oh, we don't speak Morse code, because that's what it looked like. It was, dot, dash, dash, dot. And we're
Yeah.
like, so we're writing down dot, dot, dash, dot. And it's like not making any sense. And then we realized that it was, the batteries were causing it to go
Yeah.
crazy. And at that point in time, and also signals can travel for thousands of miles, I was like, this isn't
Mhm.
the tool. And I know people pick on me for it, but I talk about it
Yep.
100 times all the time. They're heavy.
I don't even own a K2 meter. Oh yeah,
Okay.
your
Yeah,
fidget spinner. Yeah.
they're heavy. They light up. They're easy for the spirits to move, but they're heavy enough to where the wind or a vibration driving by won't set it off.
Yeah. That's a good
So
one.
that's my go-to.
And that would be more reliable than the cat balls, I think.
Right. Yeah. I mean, because we've set it on places. We've actually, and when someone introduced it to me, we set it down on a rock. We blew on it. We put it on a wood floor. We jumped on it, around it, and it just wouldn't move.
Yeah.
And then we started talking to the spirits, and then it would slowly start moving. And it
That's
was really,
that's
so
awesome. Now I need
not
to go
something
get
we
some.
use as evidence when we try to tell people, hey, this is evidence that there's a haunting. But for us, that, I guess that's our entertainment. Yeah. And
Well,
we don't use
it's
the
just it's a
SLS
way
either.
that you're measuring. Oh, the SLS cameras. Yes, I was actually, as she was talking, Sandra,
Yeah.
that popped into my head. Yes, the SLS camera. Oh, I've gotten into so many arguments with people with the SLS. And I'm like, it's entertainment. Because
Mhm.
I think so many people get stuck on they want everything to be like what they see on TV.
Yep.
But I know I get so much grief from people, even from people who've known me for years,
Mhm.
because I break their hearts, you know?
Yep.
And I'm like, it is entertainment.
Yes.
That's
Yep.
it. They are doing it because they can't have a show if they don't have you watching it. if they don't have you intrigued, if they don't have you coming back for more, they don't have a show. So of course they're going to walk around with an SLS cam. And then I tell them exactly how it's supposed to be used. And they're like, well, that's boring. And I go, and that's exactly why they don't do it on the show.
Right.
you know? So yeah, the SLS cam would be definitely one. To replace it, I don't know. I haven't found anything yet.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's hard. That's
Yeah.
hard.
Well, it's like when we were in Vegas and we would do tours of a museum that had us do fundraising tours for them. We would actually use the spirit box. And it
Mhm.
wasn't because we, yes, we got some great evidence off of it in the past, but it wasn't because we believed that that was the end all be all in the investigation, but that's what the people coming for the tour wanted.
Yeah, they're paying for it,
They
and you
wanted
have to
something that they could
entertain them.
listen to and be like, oh, is that a spirit?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's the main
Mhm.
reason why we still have one, is
Yeah.
because it's, the entertainment aspect of it.
I've used the spirit box and a couple of portals with Philip, and we've gotten
Mm-hmm.
some pretty awesome responses.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're with people who you trust, it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like doing the Ouija board. It's
Right.
kind of the same thing, or table tipping. I've table tipped
Mm-hmm.
with Philip too. And Sandra. Me and Sandra had a pretty cool experience table tipping. And you got to be with people you trust, and
Mm-hmm.
you have to be with people who are not going to screw around.
Right. Yep.
you know um but again, that's like another one where we consider the spirit box more of an experimental
Mm-hmm.
device. We
Yep.
don't use it for evidence. I think the most we've done is we will say we did get what sounded like a certain
Mm-hmm.
word or phrase come through. We can't confirm that it's paranormal, but it did happen. So
Right.
that's the most we can do,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. And the one thing we've noticed is with the last team I was on is we actually counted this as evidence because it came through a spirit box loud and clear. And it was 100% we knew it wasn't a radio station because it
Mhm.
had some very foul language.
Yeah,
And
that's
any
the
radio station
best
having
thing
that
yet.
language on it, they'd be
Yep.
shut down by the FCC.
Yeah.
so we knew at that point in time.
Thank you. You're welcome, Anton. I don't know what you're thanking me for, but you're welcome. Yeah, we actually will ask the spirits, like, if we're having a good time, like, if we feel like, the spirits are wanting to communicate and,
Mhm.
they're not, upset, we will actually ask them, "If you're comfortable, please, you're free to say some cuss words at us because we like that. It's how we prove that this is
Right.
actually
Yep.
working," you know? So
Exactly.
SLS3 random points can be entertaining. Yeah. Yes, it can.
Yeah. Yeah. I have some interesting stories with an SLS, but that's like a whole nother show.
It could be it's a show all by itself. Yes. Oh, okay. Heather, how do you document uncertainty without killing the story? I know that one's always hard. Confidence intervals, alternate explanations, or unknown for now.
Most of the time, it's unknown for now
Yeah,
because
I agree.
I have a habit of, if I'm not sure, I will put evidence away and go
Mhm.
back to it months later.
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
It's kind of
because
like
it's
writing a book.
right. Free your mind of everything, stop
Yep.
worrying about it, and go back with a fresh look. And
Hmm.
who knows, over the month or two that you take away from it, you might come up with an idea to look at it differently,
Yeah.
or new evidence or advice comes out, and you look at because I
Hmm.
still have every piece of audio that I've had ever since we started recording.
Hmm.
And it's one of those where I haven't done it lately, but it's there to go back to if you want to just listen to it again. It's I don't want to say it's relaxing, but it's one of those. It's like, okay, let's see what I missed the first 10 times I went over this, but now it's
Yeah.
3 years later.
Yeah. You'd be surprised what you either pick up again
Mm-hmm.
that you didn't pick, or I should say, what you pick up that you missed before, or
Mhm.
what you thought you heard and it's not there.
Right.
I've had that happen to me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I always say it's important to not only have your audio log, but also
Mhm.
have that paper log with
Yeah.
the times and what you thought you heard.
Mhm. Yeah. I have, I keep a spreadsheet, and,
Mhm.
I save all of those
Mhm.
because sometimes I'm thinking about a case and I'm like, "Oh, I know something was said," and then I can go back and find it really
Right.
easily.
Yep.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I would say for me, the unknown for now. In fact, we just had a case recently and I wrote up the report. And actually, Heather, I shared the clip with you
Mhm.
because we were trying to figure out what was happening. And we're still not sure what it was.
Mhm.
And because it was caught on camera, we felt it was important to share it with the client. Um, Long story short, it was what looks like a mist above an oxygen tank,
Mhm. Yep.
um, not on the oxygen tank, but quite a ways above it. Um, but what's interesting is that the client experienced paranormal activity in the chair that the oxygen tank is right next to. She experienced some pretty severe paranormal activity while sitting there.
Mhm.
Um, and when we caught it, we also, in the moment while we were doing EVP session in the room, a few of us were seeing visually with our eyes because we had a laser grid pointed in that direction. We were seeing stuff like happening in the laser grid. So there was a lot of stuff going on. And so in the report, of course, I went over this with Philip prior to actually putting it in there. I said, I think it's important that we do include it because it happened. It's on camera,
Mhm.
but we do have to state that we don't know. It could be an oxygen leak. It could
Mhm.
not. We don't know. So we had to say that, and we included it in the evidence video and in the report. I was very clear that this did happen. We did have some other experiences, and I went through that too in the report during the time that this was captured. But we can't conclude that it's paranormal.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
this is for your information,
Mhm.
basically. But
Yep.
yeah, going with it's so much better to say you just don't know
Yep.
than to go either way.
Right.
Because if you're not sure,
Mhm.
but you don't want to sway a person one way or the other
Right.
if
Yeah.
you don't have that evidence. You
Mhm.
have to be really careful.
Yeah. Yep. And that actually brings us to our next question is tell us about an investigation where the mundane cause was more fascinating than the paranormal claim, which also leads to a time that insufficient data to conclude, and how did you communicate we don't know to the client?
Yeah. So, so we were investigating a historical location
Mhm.
a couple years ago, and I think Philip actually took the picture, and it looked like an apparition in a window.
Mhm.
That's the best I can explain it.
Right.
And we're like looking at it, and it was on his cell phone. So he's like, we're in a dark room, and he's looking at his cell phone and he's turning the brightness all the way up. And eventually, one of us turned on the lights, and we're looking at it, and to our eyes and to anybody looking at it, it was an apparition
Mhm.
in a window, clear as day. But because we work scientifically, we had to go back and try and reproduce it. So we went back to the room, which was in another building, and lo and behold, it was a reflection. And I
Mhm.
can't remember. I think Sandra's still on. Maybe she remembers exactly what it was. I can't remember what it was, but there was something happening, and it was a reflection. But it was so cool. It was. I mean, it looked like a woman with a bun on her head. I mean, like clear as day, woman, bun on head, reflection
Mhm.
in the window. But it wasn't. And I've seen a lot of stuff floating around. It drives me crazy. In these,
Mm,
in groups and stuff where people try and pass that stuff off. And
yeah.
it's like, you guys, you have to go back and you have to see exactly what it is.
Mhm.
You can't just pass off evidence as real. You
Mhm.
can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, she goes, "It was the reflection of the DVR camera on the stand, but it looked like a woman, didn't it?" It looked like a woman in the window. It's crazy how reflections work. So, that broke our hearts, but we had to keep going.
Mhm.
We powered through. Um, a time we had insufficient data to conclude. I think my last example with the kind of the mist above the oxygen tank was
Mhm.
the most recent one that I can think of. We just didn't have enough evidence that it was a spirit manifesting as a mist. It was just impossible for us to make that conclusion.
Mhm.
So we said we just don't know. But sometimes you get an image you can't explain, like kitchen. Yeah, the brushy mountain image was so cool.
Mhm.
So our team member Derek took it on his cell phone. We were, gosh, I don't know how far away. Um, if you've ever been to Brushy Mountain, and it was the cafeteria. I don't think they call it the cafeteria, but it was like the cafeteria basically. And so like we're, I don't know how many meters back, and then way out in front of us is like all these doors, these heavy doors, and a couple of them were kind of cracked open. And if you go to our Facebook page, there's a picture of it on our Facebook page, but there is an apparition there, a man. And so he took 3 consecutive pictures as we always do, and it's
Mhm.
only in one frame.
Yep.
And so I think that's a really good practice to get into as well. If you're going to be taking pictures, take at least 3, take
Mhm.
1, wait 3 to 5 seconds, take another. Because then if it's only in 1 and you haven't moved your camera, then it's most likely something. But if it's in all of them, then obviously it's not.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah, and oh, wow, for us, I really can't think of anything where the mundane was more interesting than the paranormal cause off the top of my head. But I'm sure before the end of the show, something will come to mind. But going back to the one case where we didn't have any evidence except that one EVP for the client,
Yeah.
and it was so hard going back to her and telling her, and she was probably the nail in the coffin for us doing residentials,
Mm, yeah.
because I actually had another investigator from another team review all the evidence with me.
Mhm.
And we both got on the phone with her and we're like trying to tell her that we couldn't find anything paranormal. We shared the one clip with her and we're like, we just really can't confirm if this is paranormal or not. And she just started crying that she wasn't crazy.
Mm,
And she was a seven
yeah.
year old, she was a 7-year old woman.
Yeah.
And it broke my heart. And I was like, I can't, you know, I can't do this anymore. It was too
That's
heartbreaking for
hard.
me. So
That's
it's
hard.
that's I don't know how people can tell people that they, and I think because of that feeling, there's a lot of paranormal teams that will say they got something just to make the client
Yeah.
feel better.
I think it's important to go like we've had a couple cases where we didn't get a lot of evidence. In fact, our last case we really where we caught that mist. I mean, it was that and it was like a few other things. We didn't have a lot to give her. And so, you know, while we were still there, because she had asked us, "Have you seen anything? Did you hear anything?" and everything. And I was very honest with her and I said, just because, like, if we go home and we start reviewing this evidence and we don't find anything, it does not discount your experiences. It just means that they didn't want to talk to us tonight. They didn't
Yep.
want to show themselves. That's all it means. And I know it's, Philip says, "We always say we could be there a week." Yeah, we could be there a week and nothing would happen, and as soon as we leave it's like having a car. You take it to the mechanic and you're like, "It's making a clunky noise," and for the mechanic, it doesn't do anything, and as soon as you get it home, it won't start, right? It's the same thing with ghosts.
Yep, exactly.
So, what's the most replicable anomaly you've seen? And same condition, same outcome. What does replication look like in this field?
Geez, replication is so hard in this field, even though it's more about changing the mindset. It's not so
Yeah.
much, I know we've had several people on in the past that have talked about this. It's not so much the answer that you get from the spirits, it's the fact that you've had an interaction is what needs to
Yeah.
be documented. It's more or less that's what's, replicable, is going into a location and being like, hey, is somebody here, or what's going on, and it's getting that, you know just some type of activity. You just might not get the same answer, you might not even get the same person talking to you, and it's all
Yeah.
about how we have to change our mindset and think of it's almost like we're starting from scratch and tweaking the scientific method to fit the paranormal field,
Yeah.
because it's not so much that the evidence is reproducible, it's how we investigate that needs to be reproducible, and how we do stuff
Exactly.
like that. And wow, the only thing I could think of that we were able to reproduce was with an SLS camera, and it was we kept getting evidence showing that it looked like a little small man was mocking the investigator that we were filming at the time, because the investigator would move and then the little man would move the same way the investigator was moving. Well, the more research we did into that, it was glossy paint on the wall behind him. So the
Oh,
paint was
wow.
picking up his heat signature, and it was just delayed enough because of the distance
Yep.
that it looked
Wow.
like there was a spirit standing behind him mocking him. So we went back, same location, did it again, got the same evidence. So
Yeah. That's great.
yeah.
I can't say, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head, though. The way you go in, you have to tweak the way you investigate to fit the investigation. It's not
Yeah.
the other way around. And that's what makes this field so hard
Mm-hmm.
and so great
Yeah, right.
at the same time.
I mean,
Um, it's
yeah.
why we're considered pseudoscience
Mm-hmm.
and not real science. That's exactly
Mm-hmm.
why. Because you don't really have controls.
Right.
There is no way to control any of it.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that makes it really
Mm-hmm.
hard.
Yeah.
Um,
But every scientific field was where we're at now with
that
the
is true.
paranormal field. They were
Yeah.
considered a pseudoscience at one point. They were thought to be crazy, and
Yep.
they had the scientific method, or at least what was similar to it, but they had to almost tweak the scientific method to fit whatever.
Yeah.
Granted, it's the same thing in the paranormal. You have your question, your hypothesis, your test, and
Yep.
then start all over and do it again.
Yep.
But you wouldn't test the same way in physics as you do in chemistry, or you wouldn't test the
That is
same
true.
way as a medical doctor as you would a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
It's all about using the scientific method for the field you're researching.
Yeah. So as soon as we get the scientific community on board with
Yeah.
that thinking, then we can probably start making greater headway in the field, I think. So
Yeah, it's all about, and that's where I always tell people it's all about working with the scientists.
yeah.
It's not so much trying to get them to think the way we think. It's like one case I reached out a while ago, actually a couple of years ago, when I was first starting scientific research, to scientists in the UK released a paper on
Mhm.
how quartz crystal records energy.
Mhm.
And I reached out and asked them like 101 questions. And they respond, and I was like upfront and honest, I'm doing this for paranormal research. And they gave me all their information and they answered all my questions. And it's all about reaching out to them and showing them that we're
Yeah.
serious about this field. We're not
Yeah.
just, I'm not just asking you these questions because who's going to ask a scientist, hey, does quartz crystal hold, how long does it hold energy for? How long does it do this? Or how does it do
Yeah.
this? How can you record on it? Someone who's just going for the thrill of it's not going to ask those questions. So I think
Exactly.
more investigators need to get more serious about the field and start
100%.
asking. I hate to use the word true scientists versus pseudoscientists, but we need to start asking those that are respected in the field now
Yeah.
questions, so that way they're more open to us and getting them to think, well, hey, this could be paranormal.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think it's about helping people understand that it's okay to think outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the scientific community across the board, it's kind of like the medical community too. Like
Mm-hmm.
unless it's written in a respected journal or paper, they're not going to entertain it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's reason for that. However, it's really important to keep an open mind. That's the whole point in science. The
Mm-hmm.
whole point in science is to experiment, is
Right.
to accept that things we have to expect that things are going to change.
Mm-hmm.
We used to think that um, atoms didn't have all this empty space inside of them, and then lo and behold, yes, they do. You know, so
Right.
we used to think that, oh, the universe isn't expanding. Well, actually, yes, it is. But unless we have an open mind that states, okay, right now, this is what we know, and we can accept that, let's open our mind a little bit more and look at evidence that comes in.
Mm-hmm.
People are experiencing something, and this is what I tell a lot of people who come to me, and they're like, oh, you're a paranormal investigator. Well, would you discount somebody who went to the doctor and said, I have pain, please help me figure out why, and that doctor says, oh, you're getting old, or it's menopause, whatever,
Could
and a few
happen.
months later it's actually terminal cancer?
Right.
Like, you wouldn't do that,
Yeah.
hopefully, that's not happening. It's the same thing in the paranormal field. People are experiencing things that they
Mm-hmm.
cannot explain, and that's okay. It's
Yep.
okay to say we don't know. That's
Yep.
what paranormal means. That's literally the definition.
Right.
Something's happening and we can't explain it with our current understanding of
Mm-hmm.
science. It's
Right.
literally that simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we get
Yeah.
so stuck in our box, you know?
Right. One term that we always use is her pain is real.
Yeah.
Even if we can't prove it, it's real to her, or real
Yeah.
to, it's real to that person.
Yeah.
And it's the scientific field needs to. One example that I use is like in the new Jurassic World movies. They created new scientific areas of study to help with these dinosaurs that were real now. It was no longer
Mhm.
paleontology. It was, paleobiology, paleobotany.
Yeah.
It was, how do we help these dinosaurs that are released into the world now? And we
Yeah.
need to look at the paranormal field as, scientists need to look at us like that, be like, okay, what do we
Mhm.
need to do to help, not so much grow this field, but this is a big thing right now. I mean, especially with all the shows that are going on and all the teams that are out there with all the YouTube channels and everything.
Yeah.
I'm not discounting anyone's paranormal activity when I say this, but I personally would say more than 50% of the activity happening worldwide right now is self-manifestation.
100%
Yep.
agree with that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Because like I said earlier, if you go out looking for something, you're going to find it. It's all
Yep.
about intent. We are
Yep.
surrounded by energy. We
Mm-hmm.
are energy. If you put that energy out there, it's
Mm-hmm.
going to find you.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, and I literally just had this conversation with my daughter because, she's 13
Mm-hmm.
and she has a lot of, her brain is going crazy, and
Mm-hmm.
we have a
Yep.
lot of these like deep conversations. And I said that to her, and I said, even if you have to bring religion into the mix,
Mm-hmm.
it's still energy. When you pray, you're putting energy out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the same.
Yep.
So if you go to a location and you're like, "Oh, I'm scared and there's demons here," and what do you think is going to happen?
Yep. Yep.
You're going to find yourself being chased by a demon because you're literally putting that energy out there.
Right. Yeah. And that's one thing that I've actually trained on as part of my life coaching that I do for people. It's all about
Mhm.
self-manifestation. Is
Mhm.
if you believe something can happen to you, it's going to happen. If you believe
Mhm.
something will never happen to you, chances are it might not happen. You know, I
Yeah.
always tell people use the idea of self-manifestation when you're going on paranormal investigations, because if you believe you're going to get hurt by a spirit, chances are
Well,
it's going to happen. But if you
yeah.
believe that you are strong enough to stand up to the spirits when you're being threatened,
Hmm.
your risk of getting hurt goes down a whole bunch.
Far, far
Yeah.
less. Yeah. Anton is a he's a computer science physics trying to look forward. All the shows are steering away from that philosophy. Which philosophy? I'm a little confused. Physics major.
I think he's talking about where all the shows steer away from science. I don't, not, we'll wait for him to
I'm
respond,
sure.
respond
Yeah.
before we go.
I'm sure he'll respond to that.
Because, I mean, and there's some shows, because like Brandon, Elvis, and Mustafa, they
Mhm.
actually do scientific experiments for their shows, Haunted Discoveries. They not only go into historical locations to bring history alive, but they don't steer away from the fact that there needs to be science behind it. And that's one thing that
Yeah.
I always liked about their show.
Yeah. I love that.
I'm waiting for Anton to finish
I know,
typing.
me too, because I'm like, what are you talking about?
He's probably on his phone. I'm typing as fast
I
as I
know.
can.
While we wait for Anton, Heather, have you ever reopened a closed case after new evidence or methods emerged, and what changed for you?
The only case that I reopened was the one that I talked about with the older lady. And it
Mhm.
was because the team I was on, I wasn't able to go in on the investigation because, and that's why we think there might have been paranormal activity there, because it was COVID. The day we were supposed
Ah,
to go on the investigation, she signed a release. She had her shots, tested negative. We were planning on wearing masks and keeping social distance anyway while we were helping her, because we knew she really needed help.
mhm.
And that same day, the investigator who was going with me, the engine block on his truck blew. So he called me up and he's like, "Can you come pick me up?" I was like, "Okay." Then our water heater at our house broke and we had water everywhere, and the maintenance guy was there
Wow.
fixing it. So I'm like, as soon as he's done, I'll be on my way. Then while I was waiting for the water heater guy to do it, we get a message from my son's music school saying that someone in the school had COVID, and now we were on lockdown because we had been exposed to it, even though we never got it at that point in time. So I'm starting thinking, okay, that's 3 things in the course of 4 hours preventing me
Yeah,
from doing this case. So he went
yeah.
with another investigator. They had some evidence here and there and whatnot, but then she came forth afterwards, after I had left that team, and sent us evidence saying, "Hey, this is what I've captured in my home. Can you come?" And even though we got there, we still got nothing. But that was just because of evidence that the client presented to us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He says he doesn't see much science. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's hard, Anton, because the science isn't very entertaining, unfortunately. So that's hard.
Yep.
I can't say we've reopened a case since I've been on the team, and I've been on it for 2 years now. So we've revisited some locations. One, because we had so much evidence the first time around. We were like, we have to come back because there's more going on here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good we went back because we were able to get so much more information. Um, so that was really cool. But in terms of like reopening, I wouldn't, I I wouldn't say we ever actually close a case. I think I think it's really hard to just, put a stamp on a case and say this case is closed. Well, no, because what if the spirit or spirits decide to leave, or what if more decide to come back? What if something within the dynamic of the people who live there changes and
Right.
things get worse or better? So I think it would be really hard to just say, yeah, this case is closed. I don't think a paranormal case in terms of hauntings is ever closed.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, who
I
knows?
think all of the science would be entertaining, Anton. I really do, because I'm a nerd and I
Mhm.
love all the science, but I know that the majority of people don't think like us.
Yeah.
And they've got to go with the status quo. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that is the way of the world,
Uh,
unfortunately.
yeah. And unfortunately, and I'm gonna skip a couple questions down because we have
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
40
We
minutes
have a
left and
lot.
we're going. I'm gonna say, and some of them we've already answered in like the other questions
We
that we
have.
have.
Yeah.
But one thing going back to entertaining versus not entertaining is, what's one myth you wish the community would retire because it harms clients or muddies research?
Yeah.
I know what mine
The,
is.
yeah, I think I know what yours is. I would have to speak on the whole demon mentality.
Yep.
Everything's evil.
Hmm.
Um, Witchcraft is evil. Um, when I first started watching the shows, that was my way of thinking, because that's what they were telling us,
Hmm.
right? That's what we were seeing, that's what they were feeding us. However, like I said, and I think Joe Frankie said this on an episode too. Like,
Hmm.
the presence of demons or something evil happens far, far, far less frequently than you would think. It
Hmm.
is so, so rare to come across something like that.
Yep.
But if a person hears something, even if it's their house settling, it's automatically a demon, as Sandra
Hmm.
just said.
Yep.
So that's definitely a myth that I was very, very happy to give up
Hmm.
from my own thinking and say, okay, well, something else is going on here. Why are spirits hanging around? Like, what's their mentality? What was their state of mind when they died? Why, or are they coming back? That's another
Right.
one. People have a really hard time accepting that they can come back and visit. Why wouldn't they?
Right.
They have free will. I mean, we
Yeah.
preach free will in life. Why wouldn't you have free will in death?
Right.
So, yeah, that would be mine
And if everything's demonic, we're on the verge of a takeover with as
for
much as what
sure.
people are seeing right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be my number one. And then number two is orbs are paranormal. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah,
I,
that's on the top of my list. Yeah.
or in photographs, no. I mean, even if it is compelling in a video, I still say no unless it's seen by your naked eye.
Yeah.
And I've seen a red orb flying over, and
I wanna see
personally,
one
it
so
doesn't
bad.
matter what color it is. I don't care. Red
Yeah.
doesn't mean evil, blue doesn't mean
Doesn't
peace. It's
Black
just
doesn't mean
whatever.
evil.
Right. Yep. It's all
Yeah.
how you look at it. But I mean, I saw
Mhm.
a red orb floating over a triangular field in Gettysburg one time.
Oh, that's so
And I
cool.
took video and photos and didn't pick it up on any of them.
That is so cool.
So, yeah. So if
I need
it's
to
in
go
a
to Gettysburg
photograph,
with you. I've never been. I've not
oh
been to
my God,
Gettysburg yet.
we need to
Let's
go.
go.
I can show you all the
Let's go.
places I've had experiences.
Yes.
And I'll introduce you to Mark Nesbitt up there.
Yes.
He's
Yes.
amazing. Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
trying to get him on the show, but Wednesday nights he's always busy, so it's kind of hard.
Oh.
So, okay.
Should we go down into let's see. Let's go into personal stuff. Let's get personal.
Okay. And if we miss any questions, we could always, because we do have some open dates with no guests later this month.
Oh yeah, yeah, we can do
So
this again
we
for
could do
sure.
another show again. So,
What if the
yep.
orb was filmed in infrared? You're the film expert. You answer this one.
For me personally, I still wouldn't accept it, even though it would be more compelling on infrared. But there are so many things that even infrared, because infrared personally, from the research I've done, that is what causes them to begin with. You have the infrared coming off of your phone, or when they came up with digital cameras, that's what started causing it.
Yeah.
Or the red eye remover on old
Yeah.
film cameras. That is, once that started, you started seeing more and more orbs in photos, and it's so. I mean, I still personally wouldn't take it, but if it was an actual infrared camera, it might be a little bit more compelling. But I still think it could be something explainable in that aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
I burst
see.
everybody's bubble when it comes to phones.
I know. I do. I do too. I do
That's why I
too.
left all the groups. I'm like, I'm
We've
done.
had oh, there was one photo I came across a while back, and on your iPhone, you can take the crayon or the marker
Mhm.
in a photo. Literally, this is what a person did. They went into a photo and they did like the marker, a solid line like
Mhm.
through the photo, and posted it and was asking what people were feeling
Yeah.
or getting from looking at it. And of course
What
there
are you
was a
getting off
child.
that for?
There was also a child in it. So you're playing on people's emotions there.
Right.
And I was happy to see that there were a lot of people calling bullshit
Mhm.
on it.
Yep.
I was very happy to see that. However, there was a lot who were like, "Oh, I feel this, and you need to call a priest, and it's this demonic."
Yep.
I couldn't believe it.
Mhm.
Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And
Well,
people
even
fell for it. People were
right.
falling for it.
Yeah.
It's so
They
sad.
they do all the time. But even like with photos, there was one, oh jeez. We were still living in Vegas and I had in Goldfield.
Mm,
And my way, and I actually have a whole presentation on this that we can do down the road, but my way of actually determining if I really think it's paranormal is I will send it to 5 people.
oh, that's a good
I
idea.
won't tell them what it is. Two of
Yeah.
them are usually, if it's a photograph, I have photography experts that I send them
Mhm.
to, and then 3 paranormal researchers.
Yeah.
And one time when I did it, they all came back with the same answer, and it was exactly where we thought it was.
Okay.
So, and to me, that's like, okay, this is something real. And same thing with audio. Send it to 5 people, because then you
Mhm.
have that tiebreaker if 2 are torn.
Yep.
And of course, you don't tell them, hey, I think something's paranormal in here. It's like, hey, look at this photo. Let me know what you see. But I've seen people will post, hey, look at this photo, and everyone is like picking up things in different locations. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, obviously there's nothing paranormal in there because
There's
nobody's
like
picking things
8,000 faces all of a sudden in one
up. Right.
photo,
Right.
and
Or
they're all demonic.
right. And I always tell people, don't, whatever you do, don't circle what you see and share. Not only do you want people looking at it to find it on their own, you
Yeah.
want people looking at it to circling it edits the image and
Mhm.
distorts the pixels,
Yep.
which could cause false positives.
Yeah.
So you might have thought you saw something there, but now that you've circled it, there's going to be something that looks like it's there
Yeah.
because everything got
Yeah.
distorted.
In this digital age, you guys, you gotta be so careful because you
Yeah.
think you're doing something good, but
Mm-hmm.
you're not. You
Yep.
just, yeah. I learned
And
that from Dr. Kelly
yeah. Well, it's
when I
tough
took the
too
film
because
class.
you look at the EXIF information on the digital
Yeah.
photos, but I've now discovered, and someone introduced this to me on a podcast that I was on a couple months ago, that AI, if you ask it to,
No.
it'll generate the photo with doctored EXIF information.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yep. So it's like, nah, okay.
So
So
now
now
we
I gotta
can't
go.
use photos.
Nope.
Photos are out, guys. AI
Yep.
killed it. Sorry.
So I'm like, crap, I haven't tried it yet, but it's like, oh, if that's
Ah,
true.
that's terrible.
Yeah.
All right. No more photos. Go back to film. I wish we would go back to film with a lot of stuff
Yeah.
because you can't. I mean, yeah, a lot of the film was doctored back in the day, but then there's a lot that is pretty compelling
Yeah. If you have the
because
actual negative too, though, it's harder to fake
yeah,
that than it is.
yeah. So, yeah, the digital age, man.
I know we're in trouble.
Yes, we are. Okay, how much time? We have
30 minutes. And
30
probably
minutes.
need about 10 minutes to do the extra or the
All
outro with
right.
information about where to find us. You pick a
Um,
question to ask me, and then
how
I'll
we
pick one
each
to ask
got
you.
here. We haven't really talked. Well, yeah, I guess we did. We did that in the beginning. Oh, here. Okay. One investigative hill that you'll die on.
Oh,
I'm interested to hear your answer because I actually don't know much. That's a great question.
Devil's Den, only because this was back in film days. I was actually a photojournalism student at the time. And my family, we didn't go to Disney World for vacation. That's not something we did. We would take a 2-week summer vacation. We would head down to Florida to visit family. And then we would drive up the East Coast hitting Civil War sites.
That's so cool.
That was our vacation, which is great. That's why I am the way I am today. But we were at Devil's Den. And it was, of course, 4th of July weekend. So they were doing reenactments for the Gettysburg, the battle that was up there. And I was just around taking photographs, minding my own business. And someone walked by me, Confederate uniform. And it's one of those, the more I think about it, it's like, I thought I heard him say something, but his mouth never moved, but I really didn't pay attention to that. So that's like me almost manifesting a story on it later on.
Yeah.
But when he did walk by, he tipped his hat and nodded his head and kept going. And I was like, me still taking photos. And I'm like, oh, shoot, so cool. Wouldn't it be cool if I had a Confederate soldier in my photo? So I ran around the boulder to catch him. He was gone.
Oh my God.
Absolutely
That's so cool.
Gone. And I was like, crap. And I searched all over the place to see if he could be hiding somewhere. And then other than that, it was a big field. And I would have seen him either walking away or running away. And he was just completely gone. And the more I researched about the hauntings at Devil's Den and Gettysburg, I came across a story from the Library of Congress that had talked about how Matthew Brady's and Andrew Gardner were trying to get the best photo fastest to the newspapers. Mm-hmm. And Matthew Brady wasn't there yet, but he told Gardner, go ahead, do what you can, do anything you can to get that photo. Well, there's a photo of triangular field, a whole bunch of dead soldiers on the ground. Yep, and you can clearly see the face of one of them. That is the same man who is the sharpshooter, Devil's Den sharpshooter that was dead, sitting, shot in the head with his gun next to him at Devil's Den.
Wow.
They finally identified who it was, and they had a photo of who it was in this article. That was the man I saw. So yeah, so everybody's like, no. And I'm like, no, that is who I saw. And they're like, oh, that was 30 years ago. How do you remember that? And it's like, I remember that experience.
You never forget it.
Right.
Like I have goosebumps.
Yeah.
Hearing
so that is one story that I will,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and for me, very similar experience. Like I had never had any kind of paranormal experience. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of crazy that my first paranormal experience was a shadow person, and I've had people try to explain it away. Mm-hmm. And like I said earlier, I wasn't in bed. I wasn't sleeping. I was literally awake and walking. I was not sleepwalking. I was up about to get in the shower so I could get ready for school. Mm-hmm. What's crazy too is that this shadow person was in my living room, and we had a cat at the time. And the reason I turned the corner was because my cat was meowing, but not like it was being hurt. It was meowing like it was happy. Like, it like somebody was playing with it. And when I turned the corner, this shadow figure was petting my cat and then stood up. So for me, because I watched this kind of transformation happen from it crouched down and my cat just like sprawled out on the floor, enjoying this thing, petting it. Mm-hmm. And then it like, when you like rotate on the floor and then you stand up, like that's what it did. Right. I can't explain that. Mm-hmm. You can't tell me I wasn't dreaming. I was awake.
Yep.
In fact, I'm not ashamed to say that I ran and jumped in bed with my brother and was like, somebody's in the house, and freaked him out. So then it took us like 10 minutes to get the courage to like walk back into the living room. And we lived in an apartment. There was up on in a high-rise building. So there's one front door in and out of this apartment. It was just us. That's it. Yeah. So again, like, you can't discount people's experiences
Right.
just because you don't understand it.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And that's always the hard part because you don't know until you've experienced it.
Yeah. I mean, if had I not, I wouldn't even believe it.
Mhm.
I'd be a complete diehard skeptic, I'm sure,
Mhm.
had that not happened to me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, quick question: do you think full spectrum camera is worth the investment?
Mhm.
I personally don't own one, and I don't think I ever would. However, I know someone who has one, and I've seen some interesting evidence from it.
Have you? Okay.
Yeah.
I've not. I've not. So that's the only reason I'm really hesitant to invest in one is because I really haven't seen. I mean, I know there's evidence out there, but
Right.
I haven't seen a lot.
Right. Yep. We've just seen
So,
what look like shadow people
yeah,
that because
okay.
we would take it side by side. He would use his camera and I would use a regular digital camera. And there
Okay.
would be things that he would see on his that didn't pick up on the regular one.
Mhm.
So that
Okay.
kind of was like, and we still didn't count it as paranormal because we didn't have an
Mhm.
explanation, but
Yeah.
it was more, it's kind of it's worth experimenting with a little bit more if you
Okay.
have it,
Okay.
and then that brings me
Is
up.
it necessary? I don't think so.
Yeah, not necessary, but and that reminds me of I've talked about it before in the past, but what is your opinion on the ovilus?
That's a hard one
Right,
because
and,
it's
and that
another one of those devices that are they reel you in because
yep,
it's so cool. But I think for me, I don't quite understand how it operates, how it
right,
works. So I have not invested in one
hmm
because because I don't understand how it works, I don't trust it. That's
right,
another thing that I live by. If I don't
mhm,
understand how something works, I
yep,
don't trust it.
right, yep. And I was the same way. Someone on the team that I was on got one.
Uh-huh.
We used it a lot, played around with it, but I still wasn't 100% trusting on anything that was happening on it
Mhm.
until there was a personal physical experience tied with what was coming up on the obelisk. It
Mm.
was we were walking through a location and I didn't realize the rest of my team. It was a historical location. They hung back in another room and I thought they were still walking behind me and I'm asking questions and the thing is silent, still silent. Turn the corner of a hallway and the minute I turned the hallway it was like something triggered it and it was death devil demon sacrifice. Like it just
Wow.
all popped up all right, boom 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 boom. And I was like, who are you going to sacrifice? And it said you. And then at the same time, I felt a finger run down from the back of my neck down to the lower of my back.
Wow.
And I turned around and realized I was alone. And as I turned around, it said alone.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, okay, I'm scared now.
Yeah, that would
I've
freak
never
me
been
out
scared
too.
on an investigation, but I was scared then. And I was just like,
Yeah.
okay, so I haven't used it since, but that kind of has me thinking, depending on the circumstance,
Okay.
if it just did that, it would be like, okay, well, it's picking up on something and maybe it's programmed, at this GPS location, it rattles out these words.
I've heard about that
Yeah.
too, that's possible.
But the
Yeah.
fact that there was that personal experience and it was physical
Yeah.
experience was like, okay,
Yeah.
that was
And the
kind of weird.
fact that they're so expensive
Right. Yep.
makes me
Yep.
like,
Yep.
why?
And they're not going down in value because I think he sold his for more than he paid for it because they were out of stock and nobody was
Yeah,
able to
they're
get
always
them.
out of stock.
Yeah.
They're always out of stock. Like, who's buying these? Well, shouldn't we have a lot more paranormal investigators in the world
Right.
while we're buying up the office?
Okay,
Wow.
so we have about 10 more minutes for one more question before we need to start doing something, but let
Okay,
me
you
see what
pick
I
the
can
last one.
find. You have so many good questions here. I don't know what to do. Okay, what gap in the field do you feel needs filling And how do you feel that either you could do it with your paranormal research or we could do it as a platform of Ghost Education 101?
Oh, a gap in the field. So one topic I focus on very strongly um in my personal kind of spiritual coaching is not giving your power away so easily.
Mhm.
I think I think it happens for so many people. It happens the moment they think my house is haunted. They've automatically given up their house. They've automatically said, "Oh, there's a ghost here. I'm in trouble. I don't know what to do." Um, so I focus on that very heavily because yeah, ghosts exist. I mean, that's my
Mhm.
belief, and I know that's your belief. This is a paranormal show. And they're outside, they're walking the streets, they're in
Mhm.
the supermarket, they
Yep.
might even be in your car. They're around us. And that doesn't mean you have to give up your personal power. You don't have to say, okay, like I'm a prisoner of whatever is around. It doesn't have to be that way. And
Mhm.
so I think a gap in the field that needs to be filled is educating people on my cat's gonna pull down my curtains. I just put those up. Um, oh Lord. A gap in the field that needs to be filled is, if you're going to be a respected paranormal investigator and you're truly out to help people, you want to help those people regain their power.
Mhm. Yep.
And it's so much more than just like taking back their house or taking back a room or property, whatever. It's about teaching them that they are their own person and they have free will and they're allowed to live their life.
Mhm.
And nobody, oh my God, my curtains are going to come down. I'm so sorry.
Fine.
It's like right in front of me. There's no way for me to ignore this. It's if like a clown like walked by, there's just no way to ignore it.
That'll make
Um,
for a fun blooper.
oh my goodness. So, anyways, Tigger, stop. I'm gonna lock them up the next episode. Uh, so it's really important that we're responsible, but we're also responsible in the respect that we're truly helping people and not just going in there so we can get evidence and make a name for ourselves. That
Mhm.
should never be the goal. The goal should be okay. I always say I don't go into a haunting asking what is haunting
Mhm.
this this property or this family. I go into a haunting and I ask myself, why do they believe they're being haunted?
Mhm.
And it's really important to help people understand that if there is a true haunting taking place, they can get through it.
Yep.
They can reclaim their power. And if they want, they can request that those spirits leave
Mhm.
because they don't have the right to cause harm
Yep.
ever. Same in the living world applies to the
Mhm.
afterlife. You
Yep.
don't have the right to cause harm,
Mhm.
period. So I think that's a huge gap that needs to be filled because what we see, what we absorb through media is that people are just going into locations and doing their investigation and they're gathering evidence. And yeah, they might present the evidence and then it kind of ends and that's it.
Yep.
But there's so much more that goes into it. There's so
Mhm.
much more. And like I said, I don't think a case is ever closed.
Yep. No. No. And then for me, I mean, I have two things, and I'm always getting criticized for my two opinions on this one, and I'm never shy to speak up where I think these need to be done. But one, of course, is education. Like you were mentioning, it's not only just education for educating the clients or people who are being affected by it, but it's educating paranormal researchers. I
Yes.
remember one time I had someone after Ghost Ed privately message me asking me why I decided to get a PhD and, you know, what my PhD was in and all this other stuff. And I explained to him what I did, where I went, gave him all the information I had. And his response back to me was, well, I don't think I need a PhD or to go back to school to ghost hunt. And my response back was, that's the difference between you and I. I'm a researcher. You're a ghost hunter. There's a difference. And he just didn't understand the difference. There's complete difference in that.
Yeah.
And the second thing that I think this field is lacking, and this is where we're probably going to get a whole bunch of hate mail, is I personally do believe that this field, if you are going to go into a client's home, if you're just going to go out and investigate as a team and have fun, do tours, rent a location for the night, that's fine. You do you. But if you are going to go into a person's home and present yourself as someone who's there to help, I do think that there needs to be some type of regulation, some type of database. I mean, not so much government oversight, but something that is, you wouldn't go to a doctor that he just watched a YouTube video yesterday and he thinks he can help set your leg. I truly do believe that this field needs some type of documentation proving that the people coming into your home, A, have passed background checks.
Yes.
B, know what they're doing and have passed enough state testing to prove that they're not just there to ghost hunt. They're there to help you. And also to train those that are going into homes to know you're not a psychiatrist unless you are. If you
That's
are,
very
great.
important. Yes.
But to understand that you're not a psychiatrist and to be able to turn to whatever oversight committee is out there for this and say, hey, this client needs a psychiatrist. How can we help?
Yeah.
You know, it's
I agree. I don't disagree with anything you just said. And yeah, I'm sure we will get a lot of hate mail. And I know that there are so many people out there that don't like that. But guys, let me just tell you, there's a lot of shady stuff that happens in this field. Okay. A lot of stuff that happens behind closed doors that the public doesn't know about. A lot of people have hurt clients. Steered them the wrong way, lied to them, stolen, taken money, requested things that are just outrageous. Like, people get taken advantage of. And it's unfortunate. But when you have that kind of behavior, then steps need to be taken to make sure that it doesn't keep happening.
Right. Yeah. Or these people who are in it for the thrill, like, oh, well, I want to go to a client's home and see what it's like.
No.
They do more harm.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially I've heard stories of teams, all of a sudden something scary happens and they're running out the front door.
Oh yeah, we've actually, one of the historical locations that we go to frequently, actually, they had that happen a couple years ago. And it was the talk of the town. And it's like, we've been there so many times and nothing has, in fact, they love us when we go there. You know, nothing's ever touched us, ever chased us, ever attacked us. They just wanted to put something on YouTube. And it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, and that's the saddest thing is, if you're helping a client, even if the client says, yes, go ahead and put it on YouTube, I personally still don't think you should, at least to where it's recognizable. Yeah. Because that poor client then is now going to be getting 101 calls from every ghost hunter in the world wanting to come investigate their house.
Yeah. And that is, I don't think people realize how exhausting that is and how stressful that can be. So, yeah, I agree. We're definitely going to have another one of these because we didn't even get to half the questions that I had drawn up.
No, so I'm thinking probably the 22nd because everybody I've reached out to is busy for Halloween with all of their other presentations.
Yeah, Halloween's hard.
Yeah. Let's do another host Q&A. So real quick before we go, I did want to touch base on a few things for us. Let me scroll down to here. I know you and I, we've been discussing some things back and forth about some things that we have planned for Ghost Education 101. Just a couple things that we're going to throw out there because we're hoping people are interested. And if there's anything I missed, just let me know. I know we've talked about possibly doing a weekend retreat, which would be a training session with all of us. Different lectures. We have a couple book ideas. One thing that we want to do, which I think Gettysburg would be the perfect location, would be a live investigation where you and I go to a location and we just investigate and we air it live.
Girl, if you want me there next week, I will move heaven and earth to be there.
Unfortunately, I won't be there next week. No.
Honey, I'm going out of town.
But we will make it happen. One place I would love to is to get you out here is the Dr. Pepper factory.
Oh, I know. I was just telling my husband before we got on, because he was asking where you moved to, and I
Mhm.
told him,
Yep.
and I was like, it's near the
Yep.
Dr. Pepper. I was like,
Yep.
that means I've got to go.
Yep. We went there in the daytime, walked around. We actually have passes to go there for a full year, and we haven't been back
Nice.
yet. But they do ghost tours, but I'm in the process. I need to reach out to them because I want to offer them something more than just a ghost tour. But they have little signs up throughout the place with a little ghost holding a Dr. Pepper. And it's like, this is a hot spot. So it's like they embrace the
that is
paranormal
so
activity at the
cool.
location. It was cute. So yeah, that would be one place.
awesome.
And that's right across the street from Magnolia.
Which one?
Oh, the Dr. Pepper factory in Waco, Texas. So, but yeah, so the silos for Magnolia is right across the street.
Mhm.
And those are kind of eerie looking, but I don't think there's anything there. And if there is, Joanna's not going to let anyone investigate to say there is.
No way. But we can go grab coffee.
Right, exactly. It was really cute. We didn't stay long because we were there, for a short time, but definitely want to go back up there. And that downtown area, there's a really beautiful church there.
That's what I hear. Yeah.
It's real nice. Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, I'm all for it, girl.
Yep.
Let me know when.
Just some things that we're planning on over the next year, I guess. And just real quick to go over some of the guests that we have planned so far. We're still working on it, but next week we do have Blake Best joining us. He is a return guest, has joined Ghost Education 101 every Halloween for this will be his 4th year. So he always gone and
I didn't realize it was that many.
Yes. Cool. He's fun to talk to. He's had paranormal experiences in the past, but he does a lot of horror movies as an actor and also has written several books. And he's also a music composer as well. So he's always fun to have on the show, especially when he talks about some of his personal experiences that he's had on set. Then we also have Todd Bates, who has been on the show. He is the host of EVP Explorations. And I do have Decker Stoker, Bram Stoker's great nephew, coming back on in November. I'm working on a panel discussion, which fits in both Tiffany's and my expertise. It's writing about the paranormal. And I have Sin Schrader Hill already confirmed for that. And I'm working on 4 others to join us for that show as well. And then the one that I'm looking forward to that I booked just before we went live was with Reverend Sean Whittington. He has been a repeat guest on our show as well. But we also have joining him would be Steve Crawford. He was, if you guys have seen Legion of Exorcists, Steve Crawford was the actor who portrayed the reenactments for Reverend Sean. So we're kind of cool. Yeah, and the stories I've heard, which I'm not going to say yet because it's interesting, the stories I've heard on how he knew that was the role he wanted and how he prepared to get that role. So that's kind of...
I can't wait to hear.
It's kind of a fun little story.
That is so cool.
So, and they're going to be fun having them both on here. I mean, they're both characters and I love them both, but they're going to be fun.
Awesome.
Oh, you're in Weatherford. Okay. Yeah, we just moved south of Waco. So we're down here. So I see an investigation in the future with you. So definitely need to get Tiffany out here for that. And just trying to think. And of course, we're going to have some repeat guests coming on. I'm just waiting to confirm the dates. So make sure you guys stay tuned. And hold on a second. I've opened too many tabs and now I got to get back. Okay. So make sure you guys are following us at Ghost Education 101 on Facebook. You can catch all of our shows there live every Wednesday. And also I'm going to be putting up our list of shows that we have coming up as we go. And if you need to watch the replay, we do have our YouTube channel. And one exciting thing coming up is it's not fully up yet. There's just a little welcome page sitting there saying that we're coming soon, but we now finally have a website. And we're going to be getting that up. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to put on it, but I'm thinking we might have some photos of evidence that we have, show information, event information, as well as maybe a blog or 2 coming up in the future.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll probably also have links to all of the past episodes that we've
Yeah.
recorded.
Yeah. And those are all actually, they're all on YouTube as well.
Mhm.
So that'll be finally nice to get them in a little organized little section.
Yeah, one location.
I know. So if anyone has any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. You know where to find us. And if there's any guests or anything you want to see in the future, just let us know. We're working on a whole bunch of different things. Hopefully life slows down for me and I'm able to to catch up. I
The
never
summer
thought.
flew by, and we both moved during the summer
And,
too.
yep,
So
yep. Yeah,
we've
we both
been
moved
talking to
and
each other and throwing ideas around
yep.
during a move for both of us. So it's been crazy.
But
Telling
we still
Heather
made it happen.
my office, it's the only room in the house that's like fully functional with no like boxes left
Oh yeah.
unpacked. So
Yeah. Yeah. You should see our garage. It's still packed with boxes that are taller than me. It's like, oh my God, am I ever gonna get unpacked?
it's just how do we have all like where did this come from? I don't
No,
understand.
yeah. And we're gonna have one heck of a yard sale in the spring because as I'm unpacking, I'm like, why did I move this?
Oh yeah.
Why did I pay to move this cross country? It's like
We came across a piece of furniture and I'm like, how did that escape not being donated? We've had the donation people out here like 3 times. How did this I don't
you know, it's
there's nowhere
but
for it to go.
at least we know every Wednesday night we can escape and have fun here.
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, inviting me
No
on, and
problem.
I'm
Thank
super
you for
excited to be
joining.
here. This was a lot of fun,
Yep. Yep.
and
I'm looking
I'm
forward to what we
really,
can do.
really looking
And
forward
yep.
to the
And
future.
we definitely, Philip needs to join us for a show here and there
Yeah,
instead of just being a guest in being our peanut gallery making comments.
I'm working on him. I talk to him almost daily. I'm working
Yep.
on him. He's just being super shy.
Yeah. We'll just bring him back as a special guest every once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be more meaningful for him. But if there's nothing else left to say, I guess it's good night and we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Have a great
Have a
night.
great night.